What is up? Hope you guys are doing well. There are podcasts about making bread. There are podcasts about relationships. There are podcasts about podcasts. One of my favorite podcasts, podcast. Damn it! I was going to say podcast. It's one of the best podcasts out there. It really talks about taking your podcast to the next level. But that's not what this one's about, all right? This one is about celebrating stand-up comics in Austin, all right? Really giving an adrenaline shot of positivity that will hold us over until we could stand on stage in front of that spotlight, grab the microphone, wipe it down with a Clorox wipe, and rattle off a couple dick jokes. And I'm excited to get back to that. But for now, let's talk about some stand-up comics. All right, I got a couple on the list today. I'd like to talk about Mr. Guy Brown. I'd also like to talk about Mr. Kevin Manetti. And then I'd like to talk about Sara Cline. So let's get into it. Huh? What are we waiting for? What are we waiting for? Nothing. Well, we're waiting for a vaccine. But until then, Guy Brown. Mr. Guy Brown. The first thing I wanted to say about Guy is I think it was Sean that said he was going to do an impression of Guy on stage. Sean's done this a couple times. Sean Fernando, one of the founding members of Bomb City. I think he went up to Guy and said he was going to do an impression of him. And Guy was wearing this this handsome brown jacket with a furry hood. And I think it was the first time I've seen him in it. And I want to say when Sean asked him, hey, can I do an impression? He kind of phrased it as like, hey, I'm going to poke fun a little bit. And his first response was, oh, you're going to make fun of the jacket? And it was like, no, that's the coolest thing about you. Like, yeah, I don't know. I just thought that was kind of interesting. And I might be mixing up two stories, but correct me if I'm wrong, Guy. But yeah, Guy Brown. Obviously he has the one joke. I think the joke that I've seen work the best for him was the joke about somebody breaking into somebody's house with a samurai sword. Can't remember the entire joke, but I remember it being funny. Within the Bomb City crew, you'll be proud to know, Guy, that we all refer to each other as candy asses. And also every once in a while, we just walk up to each other and ask if we're going to take one another to the zoo. We're going to take you. You going to go to the zoo? I love it, man. It's a guy's from Wisconsin, I believe. He's from up north for sure. Got a real thick accent. One thing about Guy when he's on stage is as the set goes on, he will get closer to the audience. So at a place like the Parlor where there's no real stage, the ground is flat all the way across the bar. It's a very strange way to put it. I'm sorry about that. Guy's a good 6 or 7 feet in front of where he starts by the end of his set. So that's over a foot a minute for a 5-minute set. So math majors out there, just to kind of, put it in y'all's perspective there. But yeah, Guy Brown, he gets up there, he talks, he's got that thick Wisconsin accent there. Doing something over here, over there. It's always a joy to see Guy Brown out there in the streets slanging them jokes. Shouts out to Guy. Let's get into Kevin Manetti. Kevin, who I hate comparing people to people, but I had just discovered who Andrew Santino was right before I started doing stand-up. And I saw Kevin Manetti at one of the first mics I went to, and I was like, oh, he kind of looks like Santino. So already I was already akin to liking him. I haven't really talked to Kevin too many times, like maybe a couple, hey, what's up here and there. That's pretty much it. That's the extent of our conversations. One time he came up to me and Bobby at Love Goat. I thought this was a funny interaction. He was like, what's up, guys? You guys have a good day? And we were like, yeah, man, what about you? And he goes, no. So I thought that was, that tickled me. He's got a really funny, obviously his charcuterie joke is a really good one that he does. It's a joke where I don't want to give it away, but yeah, his charcuterie joke. If you've seen him, you know what joke I'm talking about. That's one of my favorites of his. And oddly enough, I went camping a few months ago, and a friend of a friend showed up, and we were talking, and she was like, you do stand-up? And I was like, yeah. And she goes, do you know Kevin Manetti? And I was like, I do. She was like, oh my gosh, I know him too, blah, blah, blah. And she kind of went off, and I was like, well, weird is that? I don't think I've met anybody that knows people within the stand-up community. I thought that none of us had friends. I was surprised. I have very few friends. But it's neither here nor there. I'm not here to talk about that. What did I say at the beginning of this podcast? What did I say? I said this podcast is about Austin stand-up comics. Shouts out to Kevin on that one. And then Sara Cline. So Sara Cline to me is probably this, I'm sorry, I'm messing with this pen, is probably the snappiest, tightest joke writer that I've seen in Austin. She has a very specific style, a very specific cadence. She's really good at waiting in between jokes. She doesn't rush her jokes. She's one of those people who seemed like, I don't know how long she's been doing it, but she got pretty good pretty quick. Very mellow. She's got a couple really good jokes. The one about not flushing anything down the toilet. I actually saw a meme like a couple weeks after I heard her do that joke. I saw a meme about pretty much that exact joke, and I was like, that's a good sign. If you're in line with, if you're beating the memes before they hit the streets, that's you're on the right track. I heard a random joke I saw her do on like a virtual mic, and I haven't really participated or watched too many virtual mics. But I remember she said something about batshit crazy. That was a pretty good joke. Like she kind of had I don't want to give it away in case she wants to use it live, but yeah. So does she have another one that I was thinking of? I think, yeah, she's got a couple, but those are the ones I want to talk about. But yeah, so I think those are the three for this week, y'all. Shouts out to Guy and Kevin and Sarah. Who will I talk about next? Who knows? Who knows? It could be you. If you're a stand-up comedian, I might talk about you next. Until then, stay healthy, stay safe. Stand-up comedy will be back, and we'll be here when it is. Have a great day.